Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review of the demo Metal Before Death by Mantas. This was recorded in February of 1984 and September of 1984, but not released until 2008, with this unofficial release. So, the band members. Let's get into that first. Cam Lee on drums and backing vocals. Rick Ross on guitar and backing vocals. And Chuck Schuldiner on guitar and backing vocals. So this is actually two different recordings put into one release. Both on the Metal Archives in terms of their official versions are called rehearsal demos. So I guess even though they're rehearsal tracks, they're also, were demos as well. The first one is, of course, like I said, February 1984, and the second one is September 1984. So the first rehearsal recording, starts with the song "Rise of Satan," which the only other releases that I remember this song being on, in terms of anything, I believe the only other ones were the two official releases. The first one being, I believe it was called Mantas Live Tape 1 or something. There were two live Mantas tapes. One was Mantas Tape Live 1, or Live Tape 1, and then the other one was Mantas Live Tape 2. And then the other time this song appeared was the 1984 rehearsal recordings on the compilation album Death by Metal. Although even though this was recorded the same year, it was a completely different rehearsal recording. Anyway, but yeah, song "Rise of Satan," probably one of their most underrated songs. It's not really mentioned that much when people talk about Mantas. They usually talk about Legion of Doom or Power of Darkness, or even the title track, or even the title track of the band Mantas, that song as well. But yeah, "Rise of Satan" kind of gets sort of pushed aside and ignored. I don't know why. It's a really amazing song, and actually a pretty good sort of start to the record. And it's interesting because even though it's a demo and it's very raw, this is the most, even though it's raw, it's the most sort of like crisp and somewhat clear sounding out of any of the other versions of this song. Now, like I said, it's raw, but it is very crisp and clear in certain not in certain parts, but overall compared to the other versions that are available to listen to. Same thing with pretty much all of these songs, but the first half in particular. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, the audio for the vocals is still very much drowned in the mix, like always. But with this song, and like I said, most of the songs on here, the audio is actually quite clear in terms of the audio of the guitars and the drums. But yeah, this is just a really good sound to it. Probably the best audio quality it's ever been, even though, like I said, it's still pretty raw. But yeah, it has this really cool intro. I'm not going to go too much into most of these songs, at least the first two, mainly because I have covered them in my review of the Death by Metal compilation. But yeah, just a really cool intro, and just a awesome solo as well as the main riff. The next song on the first half is the song which is the title track of the band Mantas. This version also is pretty crisp and clear in terms of audio quality when it comes to the guitars and drums. The riff is probably the clearest it's ever been, as well as the solo and just overall, except for the vocals, which again are very much drowned in the mix like always. But yeah, just that iconic main energetic riff with that melodic two-part. Well, the two-part solo, the first part of it's very melodic, and the other solo that comes up soon after is more chaotic and all over the place. But yeah, uh, that song Mantis is my favorite song that Mantis has ever done. It's just so good. The second half is a second rehearsal. Like I said, September 1984. It starts off with a song called Zombie, which has no relation to the death song Zombie Ritual. Two completely different songs. Um, and so so be warned if you're going into this thinking that, oh, this is an early version of Zombie Ritual, that's not the case. So just I'm just saying this so people won't be disappointed because of the in case of confusion. Anyway, this is probably my least favorite of the four songs on here. It's not bad, and it does have a really interesting riff near the mid to end portion of it. But it is the weakest of the four songs on here. It just can't quite measure up to the other ones, but it's still an interesting song. And then the last song on here is Demon Flight, which is this and then one other Mantis recording is the only time I've ever started. Well, no, there's a couple, but with the most probably only you could probably acquire two pretty easily. The rest are hard to find. Anyway, Demon Flight is a really cool song. Now, out of all the four songs on here, Demon Flight has probably the least clear audio. It's not quite as muddied, and it's not the production and audio quality is not quite as muddied and distorted as on any of the live recordings that features this song. But so it is a little better than those, but you could hear most of it, but it's still pretty muddied and sort of murky sounding compared to the other songs on here, which for the most part are relatively crisp and clear, but still raw. Yeah, this song is really interesting, and this I believe is one of the very first songs they ever sort of written and recorded. Even on the, I believe it was the second live tape, second and last live tape that Mantis did before changing the name to Death. Chuck does say that this is I can't remember whether he said it was the very first song they ever did or one of the first, but it is definitely one of the earliest. And it has a really cool main riff, as well as a very cool chaotic guitar solo as well. Just a really cool sounding song. And yeah, great way to end the demo. With that out of the way, I'm gonna get to the artwork, packaging, and then my overall thoughts. So the interesting thing, most people won't recognize this as a Mantis release, mainly because of the logo. The logo is very different from the well-known, what I like to call the Possessed homage logo. Basically, their more well-known logo is pretty much sort of almost, now I don't want to say stealing or copying, but giving sort of like homage to the Possessed logo, which is has the very specific sort of like font, and then has a little devil tail underneath and stuff. It's kind of similar to the Possessed logo, but that's the logo that most people are familiar with in terms of this band. Although there was one logo before that, which is this version, which they used for a very, very short time. In fact, I believe they only used it for less than a year before switching to the more iconic Mantis logo. Yeah, yeah, a lot of people won't recognize the. I mean, they'll recognize the name, but at first glance, because of the different logo, people might not at first recognize it. And I love how it's just sort of like a overall red background as well. But yeah, really cool logo. I do really like it. I like how it's very like spiky. Like the letters look pretty much like nails or spikes or something. But I do personally prefer the later, more iconic Mantas logo a little bit more. Um, in terms of the back, you get a little bit more to it. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. Anyway, you get a little bit more to it. On the back, you get the picture of the three band members. And on the outside of the portrait, I like how it's like these bat wings or devil wings or something. And then you get another version of the Mantas logo, which I've never seen that version before. It's not even the same version on here. Maybe it's just this particular release that has this. I don't know, but pretty interesting. And of course, you get the track listing there. So overall, even though this is an unofficial release, it's still very much worth it to track this thing down. Like I said before, out of all the audio recordings of Mantas, besides the song Demon Flight, every other song is the most crisp and clear they've ever been. Even though, like I said, they're still very raw, but compared to everything else, they're definitely the best audio quality you could find in terms of songs from this band. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. This may be my favorite Mantas release that I've come across so far. It's just really, really cool. Yeah, highly, if you're a fan of Mantas, definitely track this thing down. It's definitely worth the money. Yeah, absolute awesome demo, and yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. Alright, so with that said, that's the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.